Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we have something that should be really quite interesting. We're going to head up to Landskrona here in Skåne in southern Sweden once again. We're doing another visit to Brekeriet and we have one of their collaboration beers to have a look at today. So this is one that they did with Pipeworks Brewing Co, who are based over in Chicago in Illinois. A very, very good brewery actually. This one's called the Swedish Ninja and it's a tart Tripel that's brewed with Mosaic and Amarillo. It comes in at 8% ABV, and knowing both of these breweries, I'm pretty sure it'll be a really nice solid beer. So definitely looking forward to this one. A special shout out of course to my friend Jesse, Hops the Drinker, who's a long-term subscriber of the channel. He sent me some of the Pipeworks beers over to Sweden, or I think it was, I can't remember if it was Sweden or Japan that he sent me them to, but he sent me over some of the Pipeworks beers before they were actually available here in Europe. So a big thanks to Jesse. Hopefully he can find this beer over in America and try it for himself. And Brekeriet, of course, we know that both of these breweries produce some nice stuff, so like I said, I'm sure this will be a really quite interesting beer. So I hope you guys enjoy my take on it. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the breweries involved here. If you want to get straight to the tasting, of course, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery websites, the link to my other reviews that I've done both from Pipeworks and from Brekeriet before. I think it's number 4 for Pipeworks and number 5 for Brekeriet. Make sure you check those out. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city or state, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there both for the Swedish beer reviews that I've done and for the American ones. They are constantly being added to, of course, and please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys, and the support that you give the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Brekeriet first off then. So as I've told you before, Brekeriet are based in Djurslev, which is just a little bit to the east of Malmö, not too far away from Malmö Airport if I remember correctly. But the company was founded back in 2011 by the Ek brothers. So this is Fredrik, Christian and Andre, and they're a specialist brewery used in wild beers using Brettanomyces, and they were the first brewery in Sweden actually to specialise in this, although now there are a few other breweries doing this as well. As far as I know, Tripel up in Uppsala, they're brewing some sour beers as well, but they also have some IPAs and stuff like that too, and there's also Örebro Brewhus who are starting to experiment with sour beers as well. But as far as I know, Brekeriet are the only ones who do only sour beers, and they do some really quite interesting stuff. But the original brewery was located in the old brew house in Djurslev, which was formerly a commune brewery for the local farmers. But Brekeriet brewed their first beers there in 2012, and this brewery had quite a modest capacity of only 500 litres per brew, and this gave them an annual capacity of around 38,000 litres. But as of 2015 they opened a new facility in Landskrona, which is about 50 minutes or so to the north of me here in Lund, and this one can produce around 20 hectolitres of beer per brew, and they now have a fermentation capacity of 80 hectolitres, which obviously is a very important thing when it comes to brewing sour beers. But apparently they produce most of their beers in Landskrona, but they do still retain the Djurslev brewery for some kind of one-off brews, and I think it's the Sour Patch beers, the specialist ones, that they still produce down there. Although I think the vast majority of the production is taking place up in Landskrona. But in 2014 this brewery also caused quite a bit of a stir because they withdrew completely from Systembolaget, which, if you don't know, is the nationalised alcohol stores that we have here in Sweden, and they cited the bureaucracy of the system. There's a lot of kind of unusual rules, and it can be very difficult for breweries to get their beers distributed across Sweden. So for a while Brekeriet were focusing only on exporting their beers, but thankfully in 2016 they did get some of their beers back into Systembolaget, and from my perspective I'm really glad that I don't have to go to Denmark to get some of these beers now. But they produce some really good stuff. If you're particularly interested in sour beers, Brekeriet have a really good reputation for that these days, and I would recommend that you check them out. I've never had a bad beer from these guys. And as I say, if that's your thing, if you're into sour beers, you probably will enjoy all the different things that they do. And they're starting to do quite a few collaboration beers these days too. But that's enough about these guys. Like I say, check out the website in the description below if you want to learn more. So on to Pipeworks Brewing then. So as I told you, Pipeworks Brewing are based in Chicago in Illinois, and they were founded in 2012 by BJ Olsen and Garrett Lewis. And these two men were home brewers, but they met when they worked together at West Lakeview Liquors in Chicago, and they were later educated in larger scale brewing by Brekeriet producers in Oostwleteren in Belgium. In 2011 they launched a Kickstarter campaign to raise the $30,000 they needed to start their own brewery, and they founded it in the Bucktown district of Chicago. In January 2013 they were doing very, very well initially, and in January 2013 they won the Rate Beer Award for Best New Brewery of 2012, which is really quite an achievement actually. And as of 2015 they had a second site at West McLaren Avenue, which is where the majority, I think all of their production takes place there now, and the old brewery has been demolished and made way for condominiums. But they also introduced their beers in cans, and they did retain that older brewery for brewing sour beers for a period of time as well. But Pipeworks, of course, as we know, do some really good stuff. They are becoming more readily available over here in Europe, and like I said, my friend Jesse, Hops the Drinker, sent me 3 of their cans to review for you before. It was the Lizard King, the Ninja versus Unicorn, and also Blood of the Unicorn, and all of their beers are pretty damn good. I need to try one of the darker ones from them at some point. But Pipeworks Brewing Company are really good, and it is interesting to see different states over in America producing some really good quality beers. But Pipeworks are very distinctive, of course, for the kind of almost graffiti style artwork that they have on their cans. The artwork that they have really is quite amazing. So if you get the chance to try some of the Pipeworks beers, I highly recommend that you do. The Ninja versus Unicorn was one of the best double IPAs I've had from America actually, so that's one in particular that I really would recommend. But that's enough about both breweries just now. Let's actually get on to the tasting of this beer itself. So as I told you, this guy is an 8% sour triple. It doesn't have a rating on Rate Beer so far. I think there's not that many people have tried this one, but yeah, it's a Tripel hopped with Mosaic and Amarillo, so we should get some really nice orangey flavours out of this one. It comes in at 8% ABV, and yeah, that's all I've really got to say about this one. I'll just let you have a little quick look at the artwork again in this one before we open up. There you can see, here's the sort of, it's a wrench and a stirrer that's here. That's the typical symbol, of course, for Pipeworks Brewing Company. There you can see the white bee, and this of course is the kind of standard artwork that you'll get from Brekeriet, and there is the Brekeriet bottle cap on this one. So yeah, really nicely presented beer, the typical Brekeriet style artwork. So without further ado then, we'll get this open and get on with the tasting. It says on the side here, this is one of the special series. Swedish Ninja is a collaboration beer brewed on August 29th, 2016 by Brekeriet and Pipeworks Brewing Company at Brekeriet's brewery in Sweden. So yeah, it's imported to America by Shelton Brothers, if any of you are interested in getting this. I'm not sure if it will have a different artwork or anything like that in America. Maybe Pipeworks have brewed a version of it over there, but of course this is the one you are going to find in Sweden. Just be aware you might find it with a slightly different style of artwork. So yeah, nice smoky opener on this one, and we'll get it out into the glass. And I'll tell you something, right away you can smell some of the nice orangey characteristics of this beer as you open it up. But that looks lovely. That'll be enough for the moment just for us to have a look. But yeah, as you can see, this beer is just, it's poured almost just like an IPA, to be honest. It's this really kind of bright orangey colour. There's a solid 1.5 fingers, nearly 2 fingers actually, of a frothy white head. There's not really much clarity to this beer at all. It really is quite opaque. 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just going up towards the bottom of the head. And I think it's fair to say that's a nice kind of blood orange colour, this one. It looks very, very nice. So yeah, just take a little bit of time and enjoy that. And I can smell some of these lovely kind of orangey and tangerine esters coming off this one. So let's have a closer look at the aroma and see how we get on then. Oh yeah, you take one sniff of this and right away you're going to smell that nice kind of sharp, acidic, tart character that comes out of this beer. You can smell that right away. You can smell the nice oranges. I'm getting the tangerines and the sort of richer oranges. The tangerines, of course, will come more from the Mosaic, and you get a little bit of an almost kind of gooseberry thing later on in the aroma from the Mosaic as well. The Mosaic is mainly tangerines, but it gives you quite a few little kind of almost peachy apricot and sort of gooseberry notes as well. There is an element of that kind of peachy apricot thing underneath, but you can smell the richer oranges from the Amarillo as well. But really it's the sort of sour beer characteristics that are dominating this one. You can smell some of the bready and yeasty character that you'd expect of a Tripel as well. But really it's that sharp citricy character that's coming out of this one is really, really apparent in the aroma. So just take a little bit of time and take that in. There's a bit of sort of grassy and floral character coming out of the hops in this one as well. Maybe just a little touch of a kind of earthy thing, but it's almost a little bit woody as well. There is a kind of woody note coming out of this beer, which is quite interesting and quite unusual, and that's mixing in with the sort of grassy kind of floral thing with the hops. So it's a really unusual aroma that's coming off this beer. I've never come across one that's quite like this, and as far as I know, this is the first kind of sour Tripel that I've reviewed for you on the channel. So it should be quite an interesting one, but like I say, we know that both breweries do some really interesting stuff. But take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of this one before you get stuck into it. As I always say, that's half the experience with craft beer. So yeah, that smells really quite interesting. The oranges are starting to fade down a little bit, just as I have the beer out a little bit longer. But when you sugar it up, you get more of that kind of woody, slight earthiness that I'm talking about, and some of the floral character in there as well. But yeah, that's enough on the aroma just now. Let's get stuck into this beer. So this one is the Swedish Ninja, a collaboration brew between Brekeriet here in Skåne in Sweden and Pipeworks Brewing Company over in Chicago in Illinois. Once again, a shout out to Jesse, and I hope you guys all enjoy this review. Skål! That's nice. It's nowhere near as sour as I was expecting it to be. The sour character on this one it's more subtle than some of the other Brekeriet ones that I've had before, and I like how it comes across. This is for a sour beer, and especially 8%. The other thing you're going to notice about this one is just how drinkable it is, and I can tell that right away, even just on the first sip. Yeah, that's nice, but at 8% it's ridiculously drinkable. That's a very easy drinking beer, this. So yeah, this is kind of interesting. So the middle of your palate, you're getting a nice sort of bready, kind of grainy thing going on there. It's just it's got a little bit of that sort of bready, yeasty character that you expect of a Belgian ale. It's not too strong. It's more, there is a little bit of a kind of just a grainy character coming out of this one, which is, it's just quite unusual. I've never quite come across that before in a Tripel. Usually I always expect a Tripel to be quite kind of caramelly and have those big bready, doughy, yeasty characters, but this one is a little bit more subtle, and maybe it's the sour elements of the beer that are just kind of suppressing that a little bit, but it's a very, very drinkable beer, no question about that. Yeah, that little graininess there, it's kind of complemented a bit by an almost kind of clovey spice. You've got some white bread just underpinning the beer, and as the beer kind of progresses a bit more into the aftertaste, you start to get a little bit more of that kind of doughy, bready thing just sitting there in the middle of the tongue. And the way that the sour character in this one comes out is really quite interesting. In the back corners of the palate, I'm getting a little bit of earthiness. That's another property of the mosaic, of course, but as you come further forward, you can feel that earthiness. It just smooths out a little bit, and you can get some of the sort of floral aromatic character, which will be from both of the hops, of course. You can get that around the edges of your palate at the very front corners, and then round the very front curve of your tongue. It is more of a lighter, kind of grassy note that you're getting out of this beer. Yeah, that's really nice, and you can feel that sort of sharp, citricy tartness from the Brettanomyces. That just goes right around the edge of your tongue, and it probably takes a little bit of the spiciness away from the sort of floral aromatic character, but it comes in very sharp, and then you can just feel, as the taste progresses, you can feel the sort of hoppy side of the beer just pushing its way out a little bit more as you progress further and further into the aftertaste, and then the sort of lemony citric character that you get from this one just fades away a little bit, and you start to get more of these orangey flavours from the Amarillo and the mosaic there. So as I always say, the fruity flavours come out in that little oily bubble you get behind the very front curve of your tongue there. So you'll feel, first off, the lemony citric sharpness just dominates, and then it fades away, and you start to get a little bit more of the richer orange that comes from the Amarillo. I think it's the Amarillo that's coming out a bit before the Mosaic, but as you progress further and further, you get more of the sort of lighter tangerine flavours, and you start to get some kind of peachy and probably more of an apricot than a peach, to be honest. You start to get these kind of apricotty and maybe even slightly sort of gooseberry flavours coming out of this one, and that's what's lingering into the aftertaste. You've seen how long it's been since I had a sip, and it's the apricotty and sort of gooseberry flavours that are just lingering on my palate just now. I've got a little bit of that sort of floral character coming out of this one as well, and some of the graininess and breadiness from the malt base too. The sour character on this one is there a little bit, but you'll see that it comes in very, very sharp initially, then it just kind of mellows out and smooths out, and you start to get the more complex flavours from the beer. But it's really nicely done, this one, and like I say, for 8%, it's very, very drinkable. You would taste this and have no idea how that it is actually an 8% beer. It hides it very, very well. But yeah, that's a really nice one. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. Hopefully this becomes a bit more of a regular addition from Brekeriet, but I can see why they put this one in the bomber rather than the 330, because you could. This would be a good beer to share, and I'm going to share it actually with the guys upstairs just after I finish the review. But this is a really good kind of share beer actually, and like I say, 8% is kind of different. How well it fits into the Tripel style, I'm not too sure. But it's a really nice beer nonetheless, and I would recommend that you try it. If you like the Mosaic and the Amarillo hop, I think you're definitely going to enjoy this one. This is a really, really quite nice beer actually. So yeah, if you enjoy your sour beers and you like orange flavour hops, this is definitely one for you to go to. In terms of Tripels, it doesn't fit into the Tripel the way I would expect it, but it does have some of that nice big bready, yeasty character in there, and it's interesting. That's what the whole point of craft brewing is that you want to be able to experiment with beers, but this one is a really quite nice beer, and I highly recommend that you try it. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would say this guy is probably mid-bodied. Yeah, I'd say this is mid-bodied. To me, with some of the sour beers I've come across before, they always seem very light because of that sharp, tart, citricy character, but this one to me feels a little bit heavier. The carbonation on this one is quite smooth. It's mainly an oily mouthfeel I'm getting from this one. There is a little bit of hoppy bitterness to it, but the sharp, citricy character kind of suppresses that a little bit. There is a little bit of dryness around the edge of your palate from the hoppy bitterness. There's a wee bit from the malt base too, but the malt base overall is quite smooth. It's not quite as sweet as you would normally expect from a Tripel, of course, but I mean, it works, and all the flavours in this beer go together very well. Like I said, I would recommend this one to people who love orangey flavoured beers. And also, if you love, if you like the sort of bready character as well, and just there's a little bit of earthiness in this one which suits it as well. If you like all of these kind of flavours, then you will enjoy this one. But it doesn't have a lot of alcohol warmth to it. For 8%, it's remarkably drinkable. So yeah, if it sounds like it ticks the boxes for you, then I'm sure you will enjoy this one. Two very good breweries coming together here, and they've produced a really nice beer that's ridiculously drinkable for the alcohol content. This one really suits me because I love the Mosaic and the Amarillo hop, so in terms of sour beers, it suits me down to a T. So yeah, it'd been really cool to review this one for you. Something a little bit more random and interesting on the channel, of course, so I hope you guys have enjoyed my review of this one. As always, please let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know your favourite beers from both of these breweries as well, and I'll see if I can review some of them for you if I haven't already. But it's been really cool to enjoy this one. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews, and until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Make sure you check out some of the beers, both from Brekeriet and from Pipeworks Brewing Co. This one is the Swedish Ninja, sour Tripel beer hopped with Amarillo and Mosaic. Really, really nice and very easy drink, and highly recommended if you want to share some beer with your friends. But until the next time, Slange just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Thank you once again for watching, and I will see you soon with more beer reviews. Slange just now.